Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to invite you into a challenge, not against the world, but with yourself. Not a competition for likes, followers, applause, or even validation. This is about something much deeper. This is about giving yourself permission to become everything you were meant to be. Give yourself 6 months to change everything. Not a year, not a decade. 6 focused months. 6 months of discipline. 6 months of sacrifice. 6 months of silence from the noise, the distractions, and the excuses. 6 months of getting serious about your future, because no one is coming to save you. And guess what? That's not a tragedy. It's your greatest opportunity. Think about it. In 6 months, you could completely change your body. In 6 months, you could build a new skill, start a side hustle, or develop habits that would reshape your identity. In 6 months, you could go from feeling stuck to being unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. But let's be honest, most people won't. Most people will talk about change, they'll dream about change, but they won't commit to it. Because change requires pain before progress. Growth demands discomfort before transformation. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You just need the courage to take the first step and the commitment to keep stepping, even when motivation disappears, even when nobody claps, even when your old self tries to pull you back. Your life doesn't change when the calendar does. Your life changes when your mindset does. So here's the truth. If you can spend the next 6 months doing the hard things, waking up earlier, choosing your priorities over your pleasures, feeding your soul instead of scrolling endlessly, believing in your worth even when no one else sees it, you will not recognize the person you become. Transformation begins with permission. The quiet, internal decision that you're no longer going to wait for someone else to approve your journey. It's the moment you stop seeking validation from the world around you and start honoring the calling within you. You can listen to the advice, the noise, the opinions, the doubts, but until you decide that it's time, nothing changes. This is the unseen but powerful moment when growth truly starts, when you give yourself permission to let go of the past, rewrite the narrative, and move boldly toward what's possible. Most people stay stuck, not because they aren't capable, but because they haven't yet allowed themselves to break free. They wait for perfect timing, for applause, for a sign. But transformation doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It responds to courage. Giving yourself permission is about taking ownership of your life, your choices, your time, your energy, your future. It's about saying, I don't need to ask if I'm allowed to evolve. I choose to. When you give yourself permission to change, you allow space for discomfort. Growth is never comfortable in the beginning. It challenges your old patterns, threatens your excuses, and dismantles your limits. But you can't break through until you're willing to break away from the fear, the doubt, the past version of yourself. Giving yourself permission means trusting that you're allowed to change your mind, your path, and your standards. It means no longer shrinking to fit into a version of life that no longer fits you. This inner permission is powerful because it also frees you from the weight of comparison. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's highlight reel and start focusing on your own path. You stop waiting to be chosen by others and start choosing yourself. It's in that choice that your life starts to pivot. You begin to move differently, think differently, act with intention. You say no to things that no longer serve you and yes to things that elevate you, even when they scare you. The world doesn't give you transformation. It gives you opportunities. You have to take them. But you won't take them if you still believe you're not ready, not good enough, not worthy. Permission shatters those lies. It tells you you are already enough to begin. You may not be at your final form, but you are capable of stepping into the process today. You don't have to be fully confident, just committed. You don't need to have all the answers. just the willingness to search for them. Some of the most powerful moments in life happen in silence, when no one sees you deciding, but everything changes because you did. That silent yes to yourself is the seed of transformation. And like any seed, it needs time, care, and consistency to grow. But nothing will grow if you never plant it. So many people are waiting for permission that only they can give. They're waiting to feel ready, but readiness isn't a feeling. It's a decision. It's the choice to move even if your legs shake. It's the courage to believe that who you are today does not limit who you can become tomorrow. When you make that choice, everything starts to shift. The truth is, your next level isn't waiting on a miracle. It's waiting on you. Not just the talented you, not just the inspired you, the decided you, the one who no longer waits to be chosen, because you've chosen yourself. 6 months might not seem like a long time in the grand scheme of life, but when used with intention and focus, it can completely redefine the trajectory of your future. It's easy to underestimate what consistent effort over a short period can do. But the truth is, most people don't lack time, they lack direction and discipline. When you decide to pour your energy into a clear set of goals for 6 months, you'll be amazed at how quickly things begin to shift. Not because the world changes, but because you do. Focus is a powerful tool. When your attention is fractured, spread across distractions, negativity, and mindless routines, progress becomes difficult. But when you reclaim your focus and direct it toward meaningful actions, you create momentum. You start each day with intention. You build habits that align with your goals. You begin to cut out the unnecessary, say no more often, and become protective of your time. That kind of focus transforms your days and ultimately your life. 6 months of focus means waking up every day with clarity. It means writing down your goals, checking in with your progress, and committing to small actions even when motivation isn't there. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize there's no such thing. Progress lives in the now, in the ordinary days, in the unseen efforts. Over time, those small, consistent actions begin to stack up. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt distant becomes part of your routine. That's the power of 6 months, used wisely. Focus also means simplifying. Most people try to change too many things at once and get burned out. But when you zero in on just a few key areas, your health, your mindset, your goals, you give yourself the space to actually succeed. You're no longer spreading yourself thin. You're no longer chasing quick fixes or comparing your journey to others. You're building your own lane, brick by brick, day by day. When you fixate on one thing, you fix it, and then you fix it to the point. And when you stay in your lane, progress accelerates. 6 months of focused effort can transform your body. With consistent workouts and clean eating, you can gain strength, energy, and confidence. It can transform your finances. Through budgeting, saving, or starting a side hustle, you can move closer to freedom. It can transform your relationships. By choosing presence over distraction and connection over avoidance, you can heal what's been broken. Most importantly, it can transform your mindset. You begin to trust yourself again. You prove to yourself that you can follow through, that you can rise above excuses, and that you are capable of more than you once believed. It won't always be easy. There will be moments when it feels like nothing's happening. There will be days when you'll want to quit. That's when your why has to be stronger than your mood, because transformation doesn't show up all at once. It reveals itself slowly, often quietly, in the way you start thinking differently, feeling differently, choosing differently. 6 months of focus isn't about perfection. It's about showing up consistently, learning from setbacks, and staying locked in on what truly matters. When you look back, you won't just see a new version of yourself. You'll see the proof that change is possible when you commit to it fully. You don't need another year of hoping, another month of procrastinating, or another week of second guessing. All you need is 6 months of intentional focus. That's enough to rewrite your habits, reset your vision, and reintroduce yourself to the world as someone who didn't just talk about change, but became it. Motivation is a powerful feeling. It can light a fire within you, inspire you to start something new, and give you the push to take that first bold step. But the truth is, motivation is temporary. It comes and goes, often without warning. One day you feel unstoppable, and the next you feel stuck. That's why motivation alone is not enough to create lasting change. Discipline, on the other hand, is reliable. It's the quiet force that shows up when motivation disappears. It's the commitment to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is built through repetition. It's formed in the small, daily choices that no one sees. The decision to get out of bed when it's still dark, to say no to distractions, to do the work whether you're in the mood or not. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings, it cares about your focus. And that's exactly why it works. It builds momentum not by inspiration, but by routine. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Many people start with good intentions. They get excited about a goal, set high expectations, and ride the wave of motivation for a few days or weeks. But when challenges appear, when the schedule gets busy, when progress slows, when results aren't instant, that motivation begins to fade. Without discipline, that's where most people quit. They think the spark is gone, so the journey must be over. But the truth is, real progress begins when motivation ends and discipline takes over. Discipline is what keeps you aligned with your goals long after the excitement wears off. It's what helps you keep promises to yourself. And that's powerful because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust with yourself. You begin to believe that you are capable, dependable, and in control of your choices. That self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence and long-term growth. While motivation is emotional, discipline is intentional. Motivation waits for the right mood. Discipline creates the right environment. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline says, do it anyway. It's a mindset shift from chasing fleeting feelings to choosing consistent action. Discipline isn't about punishment or pushing yourself to extremes. It's about self-respect. It's choosing to do what's necessary because your future matters more than your temporary comfort. There's a certain freedom that comes with discipline. At first, it may feel restrictive, following a routine, saying no to instant gratification, sticking to uncomfortable habits. But over time, discipline gives you control over your life. It creates structure, clarity, and results. It breaks the cycle of starting and stopping, of setting goals and abandoning them. It removes the dependency on outside forces and places the responsibility in your hands. Building discipline doesn't happen overnight. It starts with small commitments. Waking up at the same time, showing up for your workout, reading a few pages each day, planning your day the night before. These aren't glamorous tasks, but they're powerful because when done consistently, they compound. They turn into habits, and those habits shape your identity. Eventually, discipline becomes a part of who you are. You no longer rely on mood swings to dictate your actions. You begin to do what's needed even when it's hard because you've trained yourself to act beyond your feelings. That's the key to long-term success in any area, whether it's your health, your career, your mindset, or your relationships. If you want to change your life, don't wait to feel motivated. Choose discipline. Motivation may get you started, but only discipline will carry you to the finish line. Perfection is a trap that keeps too many people stuck. It convinces you that if something isn't done flawlessly, it's not worth doing at all. It whispers that if you can't go all in today, you should wait for the perfect time. But the perfect time never comes, and perfection never lasts. That's why consistency is more powerful, because consistency doesn't ask you to be perfect. It simply asks you to keep showing up. The pursuit of perfection often leads to procrastination. You delay action because you're afraid of making mistakes. You hesitate to start because you don't feel completely ready. But progress doesn't require flawless effort. It only requires regular, intentional effort. When you choose consistency over perfection, you give yourself permission to grow, to learn through the process, and to build something real. Consistency is what turns intentions into habits. It's not the big dramatic efforts that create lasting change. It's the daily, often quiet actions. Waking up early and making your bed, drinking water before coffee, going for a walk instead of scrolling, writing for 10 minutes instead of waiting for inspiration to strike. These aren't perfect actions, but they're meaningful. They're building blocks. Over time, they stack up to form a solid foundation. Perfection is focused on the outcome. Consistency is focused on the process. And the process is where the real transformation happens. The truth is, there will be days when you mess up, days when you fall short, get off track, or don't give your best. But that doesn't erase the progress you've made. What matters more is your ability to get back up, to realign with your goals, and to keep going. That's what consistency teaches you, to stay committed even when the path isn't smooth. Most successful people aren't perfect. They're consistent. They've mastered the art of showing up day after day, even when no one is watching, even when they don't feel like it. They understand that progress isn't about being flawless. It's about being faithful to the process. They fail, they stumble, but they don't stop. That's what separates them from those who stay stuck, waiting for the ideal moment to act. Consistency builds confidence. Each time you show up for yourself, you strengthen your belief in your ability to follow through. It's not the size of the action that matters, it's the repetition of it. A single workout won't change your body, but 100 of them will. Writing one page won't make you an author, but writing a little every day with small efforts, done consistently, produce results far greater than occasional bursts of perfection. Perfection is fragile. One slip up can shatter it. But consistency is resilient. It allows room for failure without losing sight of the bigger picture. It teaches you that it's okay to be human, to be imperfect, to struggle, and still keep going. That mindset is what creates real, lasting transformation. When you let go of perfection, you free yourself to take action. You start before you feel ready. You try, learn, adjust, and grow. You stop measuring yourself by impossible standards and start measuring progress by your effort and persistence. You begin to trust the process, knowing that success doesn't come from doing things perfectly, but from doing them consistently. So stop waiting for perfect conditions, perfect timing, or start showing up today, start small, stay steady, and commit to the journey. Because in the end, it's not about being perfect once. It's about being present and persistent every single day. That's how real change happens, not in perfection, but in consistency. Change doesn't begin with a new job, a different city, or even a better opportunity. It begins with the way you think. Your mindset is the lens through which you experience life. It shapes how you see yourself, how you respond to challenges, how you handle setbacks, and what you believe is possible. If you want to change your life, you have to start by changing your mindset, because nothing around you can shift until something within you does. Your mindset determines the direction of your growth. A fixed mindset believes that who you are is set in stone, that your talents, intelligence, and potential are limited. This belief leads to fear of failure, avoidance of challenges, and the need to constantly prove yourself. On the other hand, a growth mindset believes you can improve, learn, adapt, and evolve. It embraces effort, welcomes feedback, and sees failure not as defeat, but as data. This simple shift in thinking creates space for transformation. When your mindset changes, your habits follow. You begin to think differently about time, about effort, about discomfort, and about discomfort. You stop seeing discipline as punishment and start seeing it as a form of self-respect. You stop craving comfort and start chasing purpose. You no longer need instant results because you begin to value long-term growth. The more your thoughts align with progress, the more your actions begin to reflect that internal change. Your mindset also affects how you handle adversity. With a limited mindset, challenges feel like threats. They become proof that you're not enough, not capable, not ready. But with a renewed mindset, those same challenges become invitations to grow stronger. You stop running from resistance and start using it to build resilience. Life doesn't become easier, but you become tougher, smarter, and more determined. That shift alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. Often, the greatest limits in our lives are not external, they're internal. It's not the world holding you back. It's the beliefs you've accepted as truth. You've told yourself stories about what you can and cannot do, about what you're worthy of, and about what success looks like. But these stories aren't facts. They're just repeated thoughts. And any thought repeated enough becomes a belief. That's why mindset work is so important, because if you want a different outcome, you need a different narrative. Changing your mindset also opens your eyes to opportunities you used to overlook. When you believe in growth, you see potential everywhere, in people, in problems, even in pain. You start asking better questions. What can I learn from this? How can this make me better? What is this teaching me about myself? These questions don't just change how you think, they change how you live. You begin to operate from a place of power, not passivity. It's important to remember that your mindset is not set by default. It's shaped by choice. You can choose to believe in your capacity to grow. You can choose to see setbacks as setups. You can choose to replace self-doubt with self-discipline. Every day, you have the opportunity to reframe your thoughts and reshape your life. This shift won't happen overnight. Mindset is built through awareness, repetition, and conscious effort. It takes time to unlearn the lies and replace them with truth. But once you make that shift, your life begins to expand in ways you couldn't imagine before. When your mindset changes, your energy changes. Your decisions become intentional. Your confidence becomes rooted in purpose. And your life begins to reflect the belief that you are no longer waiting to be changed by the world. You are changing because of the way you see the world. That's the power of mindset. It doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes everything. We often wait. We wait for the perfect moment, the right mood, the ideal conditions, or a sign that it's time to begin. We tell ourselves that we'll start when we're more confident, more experienced, more financially stable, more inspired. But the truth is, waiting for the right time is often just fear in disguise. The perfect moment doesn't exist, not in the way we imagine it. The stars won't align, life won't pause and say, now is your time. Because the right time isn't someday. The right time is now. Now is all we really have. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, and yesterday is already gone. Yet many people live stuck between the two, regretting the past or fearing the future, without fully stepping into the present. But progress only happens in the present. Dreams only become reality when we stop postponing action and start moving with what we have. You don't need the perfect setup to begin. You just need the courage to start. Action beats hesitation. Every time you choose action over delay, you build momentum. Even the smallest steps forward compound over time. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to take the first step. That step could be as simple as sending the email, writing the first sentence, making the call, or signing up for the class. These small, imperfect actions are what open doors, not waiting, not wishing, not overthinking, just moving. The idea of the right time is often an illusion we use to feel safe. We think, I'll wait until things calm down, or I'll start when I feel more ready. But life is rarely calm, and readiness doesn't show up out of nowhere. Readiness is built by doing, Confidence is earned by trying. Growth is sparked by starting, even when it's messy, uncertain, or inconvenient. When you act now, you give yourself the gift of progress. You stop being a spectator of your own life and become a participant. And in that participation, you learn, you fail, you adjust, and you grow. Waiting teaches you nothing, but doing, even imperfectly, teaches you everything. Now is also when change happens. Not next year, not after the next break, not when circumstances magically align. Change starts the moment you stop letting fear and doubt decide your time. It starts when you decide that your future is more important than your excuses, that your goals matter more than your comfort, that your growth matters more than your pride. Too many people wake up years later and wonder what could have been if they had just started when they first felt the desire. Don't let that be your story. Don't let your dreams die in the waiting room of maybe later. The pain of discipline now is far less than the pain of regret later. The time is passing anyway. Why not use it to build something meaningful? The right time is now, because you're never as stuck as you think. You're one decision away from a new direction. You don't need a dramatic transformation overnight. You just need to begin. With whatever resources, knowledge, and energy you currently have, you'll get better as you go. You'll grow stronger through action. And you'll build a life you're proud of, not because you waited for the right time, but because you chose the time and made it right. Stop waiting. Stop delaying. Stop convincing yourself that the moment isn't right. The power is in this moment, right here, right now. Decide to move, decide to start, decide to become the person who no longer waits for the right time, because you know the right time is always now. One decision. That's all it takes to begin a completely different chapter of your life. It might not feel that powerful in the moment, but one bold, committed decision can separate who you've been from who you're becoming. We often think that transformation requires an elaborate plan or years of effort before we see results. But the truth is, change begins the moment you decide that you're no longer willing to live the way you've been living. That's the spark. That's the moment where your life starts to shift. Every big change starts with a small but courageous decision. The decision to start, to leave, to stay, to try again, or to stop settling. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck, how many times you've failed, or how unqualified you feel. The past doesn't own your future. What determines your next chapter is the choice you make now. And when you truly commit to a new path, you start to see new possibilities unfold. Too many people believe that change is only for the lucky, the talented, or the privileged. But real change doesn't depend on luck. It depends on choice. It's not about having all the answers. It's about deciding to move forward, even when the road is uncertain. One decision can open a door you didn't even know existed. One decision can put you in rooms with people who challenge and inspire you. One decision can give you back your power, your peace, your purpose. Often we wait for something external to push us. A wake-up call, a crisis, a perfect moment. But what if that push could come from within? What if you didn't need to hit rock bottom to rise? What if you simply decided today that enough is enough? That you're ready to grow, to heal, to elevate, to start again. That kind of decision doesn't require permission. It just requires courage. Making a life-changing decision doesn't always mean changing everything overnight. It means changing your mindset, your standards, your boundaries. It means choosing to take responsibility for your direction instead of blaming your past or your circumstances. It means deciding to stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. From that place, even the smallest changes begin to have massive impact. When you make the right decision, whether that's to leave a toxic relationship, start a new career, break a bad habit, or finally believe in yourself, you create a ripple effect. That one choice affects your confidence, your energy, your opportunities. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to act in alignment with who you want to be, not who you used to be. And that shift starts attracting the right people, the right experiences, and the right doors. One of the most empowering realizations you can have is that you're not stuck, you're just undecided. Life is full of exits, entries, and turning points. You're allowed to change, you're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to stop walking a path that no longer serves you. The decision to do so might be uncomfortable, but comfort never created greatness. Growth requires discomfort, but it also brings freedom. So whatever you're waiting on, stop. The perfect time may never come. The approval of others may never arrive. But you are here now, and you have the power to choose. One decision to believe in yourself, to stop tolerating less, to move toward purpose, to show up fully, can shift the entire course of your life. You don't need a guarantee. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to decide. One decision, brave, bold, and backed by action, can be the beginning of the life you were always meant to live.